So we're just going to mark 9.5 all the way around. This is just the beginning of the taper or the end of the taper. We want to draw a 1-inch square.
So we're on the bottom of the part, which is the tapered end.
Yes.
And we're going to go ahead and draw a 1-inch square.
So there's my 1-inch square in the middle of this 1 5/8 leg. Now I'm going to choose my radial faces.
Okay.
So we're going to say that this face
And the opposite.
they're always opposite
Okay.
faces. You're always shaping 2 opposite faces and then the other 2 opposite faces. And we're going to take this mark all the way across. And then we're going to lay out the taper on the tangential face, on the faces that you're not cutting. All I want to do with the draw knife, particularly because this is a wide section, is I'm going to come in at an angle. I'm just cutting parallel. I'm cutting a bevel or an angle parallel to that line. And then I'm going to just flatten in between. So now what I'm going to do is cut another bevel right to the line with the spoke shave. We're not removing much wood, very little. Same thing on this side. Trying to hit that line, but leave the line, always leave the line. So now what I have is a flat in the middle and 2 bevels. I'm essentially going to make a very shallow bevel now on this side. I'm going to replace this bevel, which is about 45 degrees, but I'm replacing this entirely with this new bevel.
With that shallower bevel.
Yeah, I'm just removing most of the material, but I'm only doing it on one side.
Right.
Of the leg until I get right down to the line again. I'm now back down to 1 bevel.
That runs basically from about here to the edge.
Yeah, same thing here. Replacing this bevel with a bevel like this. So now I have 2 shallow bevels that are meeting in the middle, roughly.
Yeah, you can see that point right there. So.
Now I can go down the center, take that off. You'll notice I'm taking more cuts at the bottom than at the end of the taper than at the beginning, because I'm taking more material off here than here. And I'll work the center. I still cannot really go all the way across. So I'll do a cut there, down the center. Until I'm flat. So we're going for a flat this way and a flat taper this way. And that looks pretty good. Not
nice.
Perfect, but that's okay. So the next part of the layout is now we still have that 1-inch square that we've drawn on the bottom. We're gonna take the that 1-inch line and carry it onto the face. So that's the next cut. This is the radial face we just cut.
Right. Laying
out the taper for cutting the tangential face.
Okay.
Draw line off most to within 1/8 of an inch.
That edge line of that roof where the arris meets the other side, it starts to shift this way, and then you bring it back the other way. So it might feel or look a little different than it did on the other 2 faces.
Towards the bottom, it becomes narrow enough to go right down the center.
Right.
You take full width shavings. You're pretty well flat. You're not crowned. It's kind of counterintuitive that you're making flats.
You need to be flat to be round.
To round. So you're going to draw a diagonal first.
Okay.
Then you're going to come in from opposite corners and set the square to the diagonal.
Okay, so we're good there. Now we reach across, go all the way around. Okay, now I guess you got to connect the lines to make an octagon. So that's the full-size octagon for the top of the leg.
So leave that square set, because when you bring these legs along the long edge,
I can use that as my rule,
there it is.
like a marking gauge.
You're going to take those lines, use the octagon, use the rule that you set the octagon with, and you're going to go down to the taper line.
Okay.
You're going to flip that over and reveal the bottom,
Which is plain at this point.
and you're going to draw an octagon on there. So now what you're going to do is you're going to carry these marks onto the face of the leg. You're going to connect the facets from here to here.
Okay.
So you're drawing tapered facets. So I'm just going to really just knock these corners off. We're not taking a lot of material off with the draw knife. And I'm just trying to get to within about 1/8 of an inch of the layout line. Because we've already tapered this,
Right.
we're taking less material off here than here. We're kind of evening out the bumps and then taking long, smooth strokes right up to the layout line. Okay, so now I have two facets here and a flat in the center. Because this is narrow, I can just go, I don't have to alternate sides like we did on the wide cuts.
Okay.
Just go right down the center. And I'm working until those bevels disappear. What you're going for is flat this way, flat this way. Work out the bumps, long smooth cut first until these bevels disappear. At the octagon stage, it's as easy as it's going to get to see whether the facets are equal and whether they're straight. Going from 8 sides to 16 sides and 16 to 32, each of those stages removes very little material.
Right.
So starting with a good octagon gives you a much better chance to get to a good cylinder.
Okay.
Or a tapered cylinder. This is the stage at which you can really see it clearly.
And you can make adjustments
And you
easily.
make adjustments. At 16 sides, it gets harder to see whether the facets are equal, whether they're straight. It's hard to get too far out of round once you get a good octagon.
Yeah. So this is the foundation. This is laying the foundation for the final shape.
So the first thing we're going to do is draw reference lines around the part. Make them nice and dark. On walnut, I'll use white. So I'm just going to work the cylinder, and then I'll work the taper. So we want to cut a facet here, but then we want to cut an equal facet here, and when we're done, we want this facet and this facet, the two that we cut, equal to the facet that remains between them. So you kind of have to sneak up on that. In these reference lines around the part, by cutting a facet, we're creating a gap in that line around the part. And what we want, that allows us to see whether this facet and this facet equal the one that is left. So whether the gaps equal the dashes. Pretty close now. Here, I would say we're pretty much there. Equal facets. So once you establish the width of the facet, which we've done, then you can go around the part, cutting new facets.
And you're just comparing the new one to the old.
Yeah, this one to this one, and then this one to this one, all the way around.
Okay.
On the tapered side, we do a similar thing, but the facets are tapered. So you're going to need to make more strokes at the heavier part of the taper, at this end than at this end. But the goal is equal tapered facets. And take a look at it. So we're we're not wide enough here, and especially we're not wide enough at the bottom. So that's looking pretty good to me. And then you can go around the part.
Put the lines back in.
Put the lines back in. Then you go to 32 side. Then you do start counting, because it's usually going to be just 2 or 3, 4 strokes maybe, and go all the way around the part to the 32 sides.
I'm at 32 now.
So now I just go around and take off all the marks.
Okay.
And then you'll feel around. So feel around for bumps and flats. If you have a bump, take a stroke. If you have a flat, take strokes on either side of the flat.
Okay. So this becomes then just more about feel and about...
Yeah, you can feel it easier than you can see it. And it does not have to be perfect.
Okay.
And it won't be perfect.